Reality Team TV, we're back on the red chair. We're back. And we've got the beautiful, the gorgeous Abigail. Welcome to the red chair, Abigail, man.
Hi,
how you
for
feeling?
having me.
You're welcome, man.
I'm feeling good.
You're
I'm
some
feeling
water.
good. Obviously, without saying too much, you know what's happened for me to get here today.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I'm feeling good, refreshed, and ready for the interview. Thanks for having me.
Amazing, man. Now, when you first got in trouble by the police, yeah, obviously you said, you know, you was getting disciplined in different ways, getting beats at home by your parents.
Yeah.
When you first got in trouble by the police, in terms of like that, the first time you went in the youth offenders, like you said, yeah, what was your parents' reaction like? Did they support you? What was their reaction overall, basically?
It was one of, you know, how can I describe it? They basically just said to me, you know, this isn't what you shouldn't be doing, but not in a way what is like, let's sit down and try and provide some support and try and find out what it is that's making you behave like this. It was more abrupt and to the point, like, you've disrespected me. I can't believe you've made this happen. This is what you're going to get when you get home. And then after that discipline, it's never spoken about again. So the issues were never addressed. Okay. So if you go back to earlier when I was saying to you about my parents' parenting styles, I think because they weren't equipped to know how to control someone who's going through that experience. They didn't know how to deal with it apart from how Caribbean households deal with it, or even African households deal with it.
Even you talking, I'm like, I can relate.
Spare the rod, you know what I mean?
I got fucked up. Yeah, it's true.
Spare the rod instead of sitting down, look, talk to me, man. Find out what it is. Is it a cry for help?
Yeah,
you know, is it because there's some kind of attachment issue? Do we need some kind of mediation? You know, and these are the things, like, fast forwarding, these are the kind of things that so for me, everything, well, I won't start from where it started in terms of like my offending. Well, I'll start from like my childhood.
Of course, yeah.
Because I didn't have a bad childhood. I did grow up in a 2-parent household, my mum and my stepfather, and I've also got 2 younger brothers. So it was a good dynamic, good family setting. For me, I think it was, I've always had a problem with school in terms of being disruptive, not taking in the work, and, you know, being the class clown and stuff like that. And obviously as a child, you don't understand why that is. Why am I not getting the work? Why am I misbehaving? And the school that I was going to wasn't acknowledging that there was an issue either. They was just labeling me as a bad child. So as a result of that, I ended up getting expelled from school, permanently excluded. Then I ended up in a PRU, which is a pupil referral unit. And then from there, you know, because they don't really monitor you there, so you just go as and when you want to. And then I start hanging around with, like, I wouldn't say a bad crowd, because we was all the same age on the same journey or similar journeys. So that's who I started to kind of connect with, is people who wanted to be on the road like me, weren't attending school, probably had a bad upbringing, or, you know, things weren't nice at home. So them were the kind of people that I kind of vibes towards. It was a mixture of being an only child, because there's 10 years between me and my brothers. So being an only child for a certain period of time, and then not being an only child. So then the attention moves from me, then onto my brothers. So I think, because of the change in dynamic, I think that's where my childhood, say, took a turn for the worse. But in terms of my upbringing, I've got nothing. It wasn't a sad upbringing. It wasn't, you know, I didn't grow up not wanting for anything. You know, I had everything that I wanted, but as I started to transition from childhood into adolescence and then into my teens, I then started to get the influences of people outside. And I started stealing from a young age as well. So you could say that's when it started. And then, you know, growing up in a black household, the discipline is quite severe, especially when it comes to things like stealing or telling lies and stuff. But for me, the discipline didn't have an impact. For me, I feel like the discipline made it worse, because it just made me want to rebel even more. Like, okay, to me, you hitting me or you sending me to my room or grounding me, it's not working. And my parents didn't have the the comprehension at the time, because remember it's their first time growing a teen as well, or a preteen. So I feel like they didn't comprehend what it took to adjust their parenting style to fit the needs of what I was going through at the time. Not that I'm blaming them, but I just feel like it was my childhood plus parenting styles and a lot of things were influenced. Anyway, fast forward to senior school, and it didn't turn out good for myself, because then we ended up doing street robberies. You know, there's like a gang of us, there was like 6 of us, and we ended up doing street robberies, getting into fights. And then one of the street robberies and one of the fights were really bad. You know, it involved a knife, and one of the assaults that we got convicted for was GBH. So we ended up getting convicted for that as well. So we went all through the juvenile system to magistrates, to Crown Court, because it was that bad that we had to go to Crown Court. That's how severe it was. So for myself, I got, was it 24 months, do 12 months?
Yeah.
And I lost my early release as well while I was in prison as well for fighting. So it meant that I wasn't able to get out 2 months earlier than my actual release date.
Yeah. Quick. Sorry to
no, go on. Sorry,
I'm loving it. I'm proper loving it so far. Like,